Good morning, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a book tag. I wanted to do the 2022 reading survey to go over my year. And then after this video, I'll be moving on to 2023. I haven't been doing as many tag videos lately, but this particular one, I feel like it's important to do each year to really check in and look back on the year and wrap it up. If you hear a lot of weird noises, that's Marty's tail hitting the paper that I'm holding. Huh, Marty? Silly boy. Now he just knocked over my books. You're so silly. How many books did you read? I read 83 books. Did you meet your goal? No, my goal was 100 books. I think if I had made my decision about not doing TBRs earlier in the year, I probably would have hit 100, but it was slowing me down so much. I've already talked about it, so I'm not going to bore you with the details, but yeah. In fact, this year I decided I'll go ahead and put 100 again, but it's not really a goal. I don't care how many books I read, actually. I just want to read and enjoy reading, and the more 4 and 5 star books I read, the better. That's where I'm at. Most read genre. I read 26 mysteries, and that does not include cozy mysteries or thrillers. The longest and shortest books you read. The shortest book I read was this Care Bears book that I ended up not really caring for. And the longest book I read was Strangers by Dean Koontz. I read this in AJ Dunn's Thrill a Month book club. Would you stop? He thinks that's so funny, apparently. This one is 681 pages long. I do think this is a book that almost anyone would like. I feel like there's something in there for everyone. And there might be things that people don't like, but I really think with the kind of attachment that myself and the other members of the book club had to the characters, I think everybody would like this book. Favorite book published in 2022. That was, oh, these are in here tight. The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Favorite debut book in 2022. My favorite debut book was Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy. Favorite book not published this year, a book that lived up to the hype. That was The Girl on the Train. A book that did not live up to the hype. Okay, a lot of people don't agree with me on this one. Okay, I did not like this book. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I thought it was really, really predictable. It wasn't what I was expecting. I felt like most of the book was flashbacks that I didn't even feel like needed to be part of the book. Maybe if it was a short story, I would have liked it more. I gave it 3 stars, but in my memory, I gave it 2. So, book that felt like the biggest accomplishment. I'm going to say this Seep just because I don't typically read sci-fi, and I read that one and enjoyed it. Favorite character. My favorite character was Brian in Ungodly. This is by Braedon Riddick. This is an epic book, by the way. If you haven't read it, I really recommend it. If you like horror or sci-fi or anything. The only reason I didn't put this in my favorite books of 2022 video was I don't feel like I've been thinking about it as much. But it's such a good book. I gave it 5 stars, and my favorite character is Brian. He's the protagonist in this book, and he's my favorite character because, not to be too cheesy, but he really reminds me of my husband in a lot of ways. Just the way his personality is, his disposition, the way he cares about other people. Least favorite character. Okay, I think, well, I've got two of them. I can't really narrow it down. And Rebecca, Mrs. Maxim de Winter, she was my least favorite character because there was nothing to her. She had no name. It felt like she had no identity. She liked art, although she never did art, never painted or did any drawing or anything that I remember during the book. She had absolutely no hobbies, no personality, and she just kind of whined and complained a lot. So I didn't really care for her. I liked the other characters in the book a lot more than her. It just seemed like her whole identity was around her husband. And I know that was a lot more typical back in the day, but yeah, I don't like that. And then my other least favorite character is a character that scared me, that freaked me out. And that is Marcus Midlothian in The Undertaker's Daughter. If you want to be nauseated and scared and just completely freaked out by a book, you got to read this one. It's really good. Favorite couple / OTP. I don't know what OTP is. But my favorite couple right off the top of my mind is Hannah and Jack from The Bodyguard. I really enjoyed them as a couple, for sure. The best written book you read this year. I think it was Notes on an Execution. I liked the way the book was put together. I like all the research that she did on the book. And I did enjoy the writing as well. I enjoyed that not only was she trying to talk about a very deep, heavy subject, but she was able to get me attached to the characters, and she was able to get me to look at all the characters as being human beings with feelings, which is kind of hard to do when you're talking about a serial killer. A book that you pushed the most people to read in 2022. By far, that was Enduring Love by Ian McEwan. This was a book I couldn't put down. I just found it very original and stunning. And don't compare it to the movie. The movie was not very good, by the way. Or I didn't think. All right. Favorite book cover of the year. Okay, I had two of them. One is a horror and one is a fiction. The Mary and Awakening of Terror. Look at this cover. There's a hand coming out of the water to grab her. I just think that's... And then you question, because it's a scary book, is that wine? Is that blood? You don't know till you read the book, but I thought that was a really, really good cover. And then the other one that I really love is the cover of Hester. I'm going to bring you in nice and close so you can see. Look at that detail. Isn't that pretty? And this book is tied to The Scarlet Letter. If you like The Scarlet Letter, I recommend this book. I thought she did a really good job with her research and her look into what she imagines might have happened before The Scarlet Letter. Favorite book adaptation. Okay, I had a hard time with this one because I could not find a movie or a TV show that came out in 2022 that was based on a book that I read. So my favorite movie that came out in 2022 that was based on a book that I want to read but haven't yet is The Black Phone. And that book was written by Joe Hill. My favorite movie that I saw from a book I read in 2022 was The Girl on the Train. I thought that movie did a really good job of depicting the book, and I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, actually. And the one I'm really looking forward to that was supposed to come out this year but still hasn't come out is The Nightingale. That is supposed to be made into, I think, a movie. Or is it a series? You know what? I'm not sure. But that was supposed to come out, and obviously it hasn't. So hopefully it'll come out really soon if it was supposed to come out in 2022. What book made you cry the most? This one was a tie also. I remember crying a lot, but I don't remember how much exactly. And that would be The Dutch House by Anne Patchette and Anne Frank. What book made you laugh the most? That was The Bodyguard again. I have to say, as much as I don't care for romance usually, this one was really good. A new favorite author you discovered this year? Harlan Coben. I had never even heard of him, and I watched a series on that was based on one of the books that he did, and I thought it was pretty good. And it said based on the book by Harlan Coben, and I thought, oh, interesting. So I looked up his books, and that's how I got started. They happened to be on Scribd at the time, and I just couldn't stop listening to his books. It was right when we had moved into this house, and I was getting everything set up and putting furniture together and organizing things, and it just was the perfect type of book for doing that for me. I listened to, I think it was 6 or 7 books of his in a row, and I decided that it was time to stop listening to his books, because I felt like I had really gotten into a rut where that was all I was doing, and I didn't want to bore anybody. I felt like maybe if you're not a Harlan Coben fan, it would get really boring, just every video, that's all I'm talking about. And I didn't want my channel to become a Harlan Coben channel either, so I stopped listening to his books and moved on to other things. And that doesn't mean that I won't start reading other books I haven't read of his. I just didn't want to get too far down that Harlan Coben rabbit hole. But I really like his books. Most of his books, though, as much as I love them, are 3 or 4 stars for me. I think one of them was 5 stars, and that was in the Mickey Bolitar series, which is also being made into a show. I don't know when it's coming out, though. But that is by far my favorite series that I've read that he's done. What is the best nonfiction book you read this year? The one that stands out to me the most, the one I think about the most, is probably I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. That one really hit hard. And that's it. That's all the questions about 2022. So if you have any other questions for me about my 2022 reading experience, feel free to ask. If you want to answer any of these questions down in the comment section, I would love to hear your answers. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.